That's awesome. We're waiting on slides and we'll get going. There we go.
Is your mic on?
I don't know. No.
Oh, you know what?
It's on now. Very fancy. Good. Shall we get started? All right. Thank you, Jem. Okay. All right. So my name is Menno Van Scoik. Most people call me Mrs. Van. And I'm the founder of Ohio Nature Education. And if you were here for opening ceremonies, I mentioned that we have, and you can go ahead and click to the next slide if you would, please. All right, so we hold state, federal permits, Division of Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, to provide a home for non-releasable wild animals, and then we incorporate them into environmental education programs. So guys, we teach people of all ages from preschool on to senior citizens to appreciate nature and wildlife, to make them aware how we impact wildlife and that we need nature. But what a lot of people don't realize is that we work out of my backyard in Licking County. So those 45 animals are in our backyard, and just to give you a, that's why I wanted a PowerPoint, just to give you an idea, and I know this is kind of small, but if you know what a red-tailed hawk is, this is how big these enclosures are, okay? So they don't live in little chicken coops, anything like that, okay? And since our founding, we've been in the backyard in Licking County, so we do strictly outreach programs. If we could move on to the next slide. All right, so since our founding, and we're celebrating 26 years, we have conducted more than 4,500 programs. We travel anywhere in Ohio. People meet our fees, off we go, so we have serviced 23 counties. We've come in contact with more than 722,000 people, and we have 40 plus animals. So if you want to advance that slide. Okay, and these are our cast of characters. So these are the animals that we provide a home for right now. So we have about 25 birds, we have bats, flying squirrels, opossum, we have a geriatric fox. We're supposed to be getting skunks. We'll see. They're supposed to come. I was hoping they'd be here for this weekend. But this is basically, most of our animals are native to Ohio. We do have some exotics. Most of them are permanently injured and can't return to the wild. We do have some captive bred animals that need to, if they're captive bred, they still can't return to the wild. So that's basically who we're providing a home for and who you are supporting this weekend, which we greatly appreciate. And I'm going to turn this over to Jordan and Tara. We can stand here and I'll go up and we can answer any questions that you have, but I want to introduce you to Tara is my daughter, and we're going to be doing a, when she admits it, we're going to be doing a program later on, or a panel later on, that talks about growing up wild. So she'll be there with us, and we'll be talking about some interesting stories about growing up in a wildlife household. And then Jordan is our development director, so he's helping us get to the next 25 years. So any questions that you might have, but Jordan, did you want to say anything about what we're doing, where we're heading?
Yeah, sure. So as Amanda said, right now she kind of runs everything out of her backyard, which is great because when we want to go see the animals, we get to see Amanda too. But long-term future, we are looking to have our own facility where we don't have to take the animals to people. People can come see the animals. If you want to have a lunch with a bird, you can show up and have your lunch there. So those kind of like our long-term plan of how we want to grow the organization and become kind of more sustainable in a way that's more of an asset to the community. So we're looking into that. This is a part of that, of being more active and out in the community. So yeah, we've got a lot of plans. The board met earlier this year to put together a long-term plan to get us there, and so we are very excited and moving forward.
And you know, part of being responsible, because when I started this organization, it was whatever animals came our way, we would provide them a home for the rest of their lives. And I don't believe in the word old. I'll never admit that I'm old, but reality has to play into it. And if something were to happen to me, I want to make sure that the organization continues to do what they do, not only the environmental education part of it, but we need to keep providing a home for those animals. So that's where we are, what we are looking at, how this organization will go on after me. And I would like to think that I'm going to retire one day and spend my time out bird watching. So I know. I drive my husband nuts, so I might as well just keep working. But like I said, I still have a lot of energy and whatnot, but we have to look towards the future. So that's what we're dealing with now, and hopefully we'll have a public facility. That's what we are working towards. So anyway, ask us any questions. We won't lie.
Just curious, you said like running your own facility. Would you ever be employing like veterinary technicians?
Well, employee is probably not the right word, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, because we are a nonprofit and we really don't have any employees, okay? We do work with a lot of the colleges and the high schools and offer internships. And then we can't do what we do. The people that are out at the table, including these guys, are all volunteers. So we are a volunteer-run organization, but we do offer internships for college, high school levels. So yes, yeah. And if you want any information, come and talk to any of us or any of the literature. I know that Jordan has brought some. If you just go to ohionature.org, anywhere that says how to help, it's under there. Sorry about that. I figured you could still hear me.
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Where exactly do the animals,
How
how do you acquire their breeds and take them?
do we acquire the animals? I don't shop, for Avon or any of those. What I do is I'm dangerous on a couple of websites. They're animal placement websites. And stop and think about this. We have one in Ohio, and then wildlife rehabilitation is around the world. But there we have Ohio Wildlife Rehabilitators Association, that they have an animal placement page. In other words, if an animal can't be returned to the wild, they need to find a home if they're a good candidate. So we even do that in Ohio. But it goes beyond that. I go to the IWRC website occasionally. I was there this week, and that is the International Wildlife Rehabilitation Council. And let's say I wanted a saw-whet owl. So I would put it out there to rehab centers and say, if you have a non-releasable saw-whet owl, I will provide a home. You know, the same thing with the wildlife rehab centers across the country, is they will list animals that need placement. So that's how we get our animals. We've had some flown in from Maryland, the state of Washington. Mr. Van and I have driven to Raleigh, North Carolina, to Kansas, to get some of these animals to provide a home for. So, yeah, good question. Any other questions? Yes?
Is wildlife rehabbing something you have to like pursue at an education, or is it something do these organizations help each other out and help with education on how to do the wildlife?
Well, I started in this field as a volunteer at the Ohio Wildlife Center, and I got tunnel vision. But I got to dip into wildlife rehabilitation and environmental ed. So 26 years ago, when I decided I'm starting my own organization, I knew I didn't have the resources to do both. So I chose environmental ed but with the live animals also. But yes, absolutely. I was on the board of Ohio Wildlife Rehabilitators Association for 9 years and was involved with them for a total of 12. So we all work hand in hand, and we need to, and that's the best for the animals, we feel. But we do not personally do wildlife rehabilitation. And now we have gotten to the point where we are too busy doing programs to even think about that. So yeah, that's our focus, is education. Good question.
Many of our stories from the Growing Up Wild program are going to be when she was at Ohio Wildlife Center, and many of her injured, orphaned animals came home to be cared for every hour on the hour, and so forth.
And it took both my daughters years to realize not everybody lived that way, you know, with wood ducks and mallard baby ducklings looking like wind-up toys in our bathtub. So that's what that program's going to be about. So we hope you can attend that one, because there's a lot of humorous stories in there. So, and I've had to reach out to my daughters and say, "What's your favorite?" And believe it or not, I've forgotten some of these. So it's all good. I mean, we named one of our flying squirrels Houdini for a reason, because it took us an hour when it got loose in our house to catch it. And every time I would say to my husband, and I handle these things like an adult, I go into hysterics, because that helps the situation. So when I would say, "I have it," the minute I would say I have it, it would find its way out again. So thus the name Houdini for the flying squirrel. So, but anyway, yeah. Yes?
Let's say you find an injured animal in Ohio, like, I don't know, you're trying to get dressed because your buddies are coming over to play D&D, and your dog finds a baby raccoon that's
Yes.
out of the garage next door. Totally hypothetical situation.
Okay.
What would be the best course of action after that?
Let's say the only thing you have is our bookmark on your refrigerator. We've got stickers that Jordan created. If you go to our, I believe it's on our website, but if you dial our office number, it will say, "We are not wildlife rehabilitators. If you find a sick, injured, or orphaned wild animal, go to owra.org. And it'll list all the wildlife rehabilitators by county in Ohio. Not only that, but it will list licensed wildlife rehabilitators in all of the states. Okay, so yeah. So you can call us for advice, or you can get on our messenger. Like I said, that was a big part of my life for years, but basically owra.org. Yeah, absolutely. Good question. And as a matter of fact, someone called me the other evening, and he had tree cutters out. And he didn't know it, but there were downy woodpeckers in the tree. So now there's 3 baby downy woodpeckers. So we were able, between the Ohio Wildlife Center and myself, tell them how to make a makeshift nest. And then I think OWC eventually ended up going out there and finding that section of the tree that was their home and putting it up in a nearby tree where they were. But as of that evening, when I told them to make a makeshift nest, the parents were already feeding those babies, because rehabilitators do not want to take, we're not the best choice. You know, when there's no other choice, okay, rehabbers will take in these animals, but basically a good wildlife rehabilitator will give you all sorts of advice to try to reunite. So yeah, I was tickled that the Downies are going to be raised by their parents and whatnot. So yeah. Anything else? That it? Well, we want to thank you for having us here, and we're very honored and excited to be here and be the charity. So we're looking for a fun weekend, and stop out and check out the animals. We'll try to switch them out. We had one of our possums earlier today eating and entertaining people, so, and come and get your photos taken. All right, and thanks, guys.
If anyone wants any literature, I got some up here. I'll hang out for a couple minutes and hand it off to you.
Silver got the man, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gatoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gatoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.